I'm Phương Anh, a member of Group 1, Class YK17C. Today, I'm going to talk to you about Unit 7, Parents and Young Children. Have you finished? Now, let's begin with checkup. Working groups. Describe what is happening in each picture. In particular, describe the interactions between the elders and the children. In picture A, we can see interaction between a paramedic and a mother. The mother is rushing her child to emergency. Next, we can see interaction between a pediatric consultant and the mother. The mother is talking to the consultant about her child's recovery. In picture C, we can see interaction between a pediatric nurse and a boy. The nurse is giving him an injection. We can see interaction between a pediatric trained nurse and a sister. The trained nurse is checking the blood pressure of the boy. And the last, we can see the parent is very worried about his son in ICU. Now, we move on to vocabulary. Qualities of a good pediatrician. We complete the table below with the relevant positive and negative adjectives describing the quality of a good pediatrician as the side table. We do the exercise in the string, the sentences 1 to 7. We have these answers. Next, give a noun for each quality the doctor is describing in sentences 1 to 7 in exercise 2. Now, we learn some new words with picture to prepare the next session.
Efficiency, impatience, respect, honesty, insensitivity, confidence, unreliability,
We follow the text about Dr. Nashin Ahmed and listen some new words in the right of the screen.
specializing, anxious, bringing up, infant, infant disease illness, acutely aware, potential threat, infectious, pertitis, varicella, morbilli, rubiola, rubella, pertussis, acute laryngotracheobronchitis, meningitis, poliomyelitis, tetanus, vaccination.
Now, we do the exercise. Working pairs, change one word in each sentence below using words from the basic to make them true. These are the correct answers. Next, we listen and follow the transcript. Talking about oneself.
Unit 7, Listening 1. This brings me to an aspect of the training and job application process in New Zealand, which I initially found alien to my cultural background. Talking about oneself, especially about strengths and weaknesses. A weakness I used to have was over-empathizing with the parents and becoming upset when something went wrong with one of the children. In the recent interview for my present post, I related a case where a child almost didn't recover from an attack of meningitis, and I became very upset, even in the presence of the mother. I mentioned how I recorded both the good and bad experiences as part of my daily reflection, and how I talked to colleagues afterwards and soon realized that they had faced the same problems. I now see recording and analyzing my weaknesses in a more positive light, as a means for self-education and advancement.
Now, we answer the questions. And we have the correct answers. Is it easy for you to talk about your strengths and weaknesses? Why or why not? I think most of people is easy to talk about their strengths, but hard to talk about weaknesses. Have a tendency. It's an effort that falls in honest. So I think people are often easy to talk about more their strengths and than weaknesses. Now we continue next session. Vocabulary, non-technical language. Exercise 1. Without looking back to the text in Is My Job on page 67, write the medical equivalent of these non-technical terms. 1. Varicella equivalent of chickenpox. Rubella equivalent of German measles. Pertussis equivalent of whooping cough. Parotitis equivalent of mumps. Morbillitis or rubella equivalent of measles. And tetanus equivalent of croup. And the last, acute laryngotracheal bronchitis equivalent of lockjaw. In addition, we see two diseases in the next exercise.
Poliomyelitis, meningitis,
And some new words before doing exercise 2.
stridor, vomiting, epiglottitis.
Now, we use the non-technical words in exercise 1 above to complete these sentences. We have 7 sentences and these are the correct answers. I'd like to turn to vocabulary about signs and symptoms. Working best, check that you understand a model statement below and decide what condition they might relate to. We have 8 statements. I think he may have many choices. We can ask some questions to elicit information such as: does he have a headache? Is his head sore or hurting? Does he avoid or shy away from bright lights? Is his neck stiff? Can he move his neck freely? How is he generally? Is he his normal self? Has he ever been or had anything like this before? And so on. Next section, listening to reassuring an anxious parent. We listen.
Listening to Mrs. Allen, from our examination and from what you've told me, it doesn't really look like meningitis. But what he has got is a barking cough and a touch of fever. I think he's actually got croup. Now, you said he's had this once this year in the spring.
Yes, around March, I think. And I went to my GP then.
What did he say it was then?
The same as you, I think.
Did you use steam the last time?
A little.
Well, if you use steam, it'll help to ease the cough.
So you don't think it's meningitis?
No. If it were, I'd expect him to be very unwell. He probably wouldn't be able to run around the way he is. He'd maybe be a bit more listless. And he'd maybe have a rash and shy away from the light.
I've seen on one of the posters that difficulty moving his head is related to meningitis.
Yes, it is. But Mrs. Allen, if he had neck stiffness, he wouldn't be able to move about the way he is.
I was just scared it might be something serious.
That's what every mother might feel in the circumstances, and you're very right to be cautious.
Thank you, Doctor.
Keep an eye on him, and don't hesitate to contact your GP immediately or come and see us if there are any changes, or if he starts crying in an odd way.
Okay, thanks. I feel a bit more relaxed about it.
Oh, is there anything else you'd like to ask before I write down?
Now, we complete the sentences below using no more than 4 words. We have the correct answers. Next, which of the statements in exercise 1 does the doctor use to reassure the patient? Which statement shows empathy? The statement reassure the patient is 3, 4, and 7, and the statement show empathy is 5. We follow the language spot about first conditional with second conditional. We use the first conditional to talk about the realistic consequence of the potential situation. The verb in the main clause can be a modal instead of will. We use the second conditional to talk about a consequence of a hypothetical situation. We can use the past continuous in the if clause. We can also use the subjunctive word instead of words. When giving advice, we often begin with if I were you. The verbs in the main clause can be could or might. Note, the if clause usually comes first, but it can come after the main clause. Note that we do not use a comma to separate the two clauses in this case. Decide whether the if clause below are real or hypothetical, then complete the sentences with A to H, putting the verbs into the correct tense. We have the correct answers for this exercise. Next, in the session patient care, we reassure the parents in this situation. If parents neglect not paying attention to the recurrence of febrile convulsion, it can progress to epilepsy which is difficult to control. But what you've told me is doesn't really look like epilepsy. The patient's condition is progressing well, so nothing bad will happen. Children with high fever, seizure if they only happen a few times, can be considered benign and do not cause any damage afterwards. Now, we follow the example conversation.
Has the child had bouts of febrile convulsions before?
No, this is the first time.
How long does the convulsion last?
About 1 minute.
Children with high fever seizures, if they only happen a few times, can be considered benign and do not cause any damage afterwards.
Is my child's illness worse?
The patient's condition is progressing well, so nothing bad will happen.
Thank God.
What you've told me, it doesn't really look like epilepsy. But if parents neglect not paying attention to the recurrence of febrile convulsion, it can progress to epilepsy, which is difficult to control.
I see.
So it is good that you are alert to this. Contact your GP if there are any changes.
Now, we listen, sharing experiences with colleagues.
Listening 3. In the end, I felt I handled the situation better than at the beginning. At first, I got the child's name wrong. I was very nervous and unsure of myself, as I didn't have time to look at the notes made by the nurse or talk to her. This is just down to bad organisation. I felt the parents didn't like this, and it made them a bit edgy. But I recovered myself very quickly, and as I became more confident in what I was doing, the parents became relaxed, and the child became less agitated. I was very pleased, because they thanked me for being sensitive and being gentle with the child. I could see they appreciated the fact that I made an effort to make them feel comfortable. While overall everything went well, I learned quite a lot from this experience. I should be more patient and prepare myself before talking to a patient. If I was short of time again, I would speak to the nurse first and get the basic details right. It is, in the end, all about teamwork and respecting the contribution of colleagues.
Next, we answer the questions. We have 7 questions, and these are correct answers. Now, we have some keywords.
Group, immunization, job application, process, reassurance, reflection, scenario, sensitivity, strength, weakness. Not be yourself. Run, a temperature. Shy away from. Efficient, honest, patient, reliable, respectful, sensitive.
And the last session, we do together different exercise. Choose the best answers to complete the sentences. You must pause the video and do it. Then we check the answers. 1B, 2A, 3A, 4C, 5A, 6A, 7A.